Hey guys, how's it going? I just wanted to do a quick dive into a recent match played between FPX and RNG, in which FPX ran both a Raze and an Astra on Breeze of all maps, which is incredibly rare. So I just wanted to do a quick dive specifically on their defensive half, because as you can see, the attacking side doesn't go very long. It was a bit of a stomping. I just wanted to do a quick dive and just have a look at how this agent works on Breeze, because I mean, Raze probably has a sub 1% pick rate on this map in competitive play. So yeah, I just wanted to have a quick look into that. So I'll start with a pistol round that was really interesting to me. So the main goal of this comp, as you'll see a lot on this defensive side, is to sort of just funnel any players into shallower and smaller, tighter angles, because that's where Astra and Raze really shine, right? Because of course they're very high rate picks on split and stuff like that. So the whole idea of the comp is to try to usher agents like Jet and Sova and KO. Agents are traditionally good on very wide maps into very short angles, and just take that advantage with Raze Nade, with Astra Stun, all that sort of stuff. So the pistol's a pretty good example of that. So we've got kind of, if you want to call it, where's my thing gone? If you want to call it like a 2-1-2 or a 1-2-2, however you want to call it, where this Raze is, because they can kind of float between both. It doesn't really matter too much, because as you can see, RNG are about to absolutely stomp up to B, so it'll be very, very obvious where they go, and Raze is able to really highlight how the idea is to just punish anyone that doesn't get pushed into these shallower angles. And when they do get pushed in these shallower angles, they just get abused by Raze Nade, by Viper Molly, all that sort of stuff. So they start the round with a wall that is very obviously trying to do what I just said. I mean, there's a big old gap in it on the side where they're trying to usher their opponents. They hear a whole lot of stomping. Autumn's already moved over here. And sort of in this position is just trying to take angels with anyone that's trying to push out past this wall, which should go up pretty soon. So they get this sort of space, and then Autumn almost immediately just peeks out. Swirl is sort of very far ahead of the pack here. I'm not sure if a molly was placed or something, but there was a lot of separation here. I'm pretty sure their Viper gets a kill, or at least Swirl's smart enough to back up with team. And of course, they run straight into this sort of trap on the left-hand side. Autumn picks off someone here that isn't going down here, once again just punishing anyone that doesn't go into the tight angles. And in that tight angle, you have a Viper with a classic that's just able to aim duel someone, and of course this Raze Nade, which does pick up a kill. So that's just, and then the rest is kind of just aim duels. Autumn goes for 4, which is pretty crazy. But yeah, I mean, even there, you saw at the very end, he threw another nade into that little corner. So yeah, that's sort of the whole idea of this comp. You're using two agents that are infamous for tight angle maps, such as Split. Both of them see a fair bit of use in Sunset, all that sort of stuff. So it's just a way that they're playing into the strengths of these two agents and really forcing uncomfortable situations for, on the other side, agents such as Sova and KO and even Jet, even Cypher, all that sort of stuff. Try to make the map as uncomfortable as possible for them. Anywho, I skipped ahead after the first round to just round 3, because not much happened in the anti-eco. It was a pretty easy sweep by FPX, and there was a whole lot of tech pauses. But anyway, I really wanted to highlight this round because I'm not too fussed about the setup. Setup's a bit of a shuffle around with the initiators, leaving A sort of open with Astra applying some white pressure. But what Raze does here is really, really interesting, and is something that no other agent, not even Jet, can do on this map. And it ends up paying off really, really nicely. So it's a double satchel straight up onto this wall, like not even 2 seconds have elapsed in the round. Already Autumn's up here and gets a kill on a very unsuspecting KO. Fortunately dies to fall damage, but I mean, you take that, right? You take the 4v4 in an eco round, and yeah, that's just something that nobody expects, right? Nobody's versed Raze much at all on this map. Nobody really knows that, and it's just really, really, really nice stuff that, yeah, no other duelist can replicate in the game. Alright, so here's a really nice round that actually showcases both of the niche agents and their strengths in one round. So, and this really, really highlights in two separate occasions how FPX, their main goal is to keep the contest in close quarters combat, because that's where Raze and Astra shine. So you can see here, straight off the bat, Autumn's going to use his ult, and he's just going to absolutely send it down main. Doesn't really find anything, unfortunately, but at the very least gets very, very heavy map control, in which KO can take and then leave to A. Can also throw this pretty nice nade that I'm sure is somewhat of a lineup to contest here. And I think that's another real strength of Raze. Those sort of super quick timing, you know, if they were ready to pop out a B, I reckon Autumn could get two very easily. But yeah, that's just a really, really nice way of just, yeah, keeping the fight in close quarters, really disrupting the very methodical way that Sova and KO type comps like to play. But anywho, it doesn't work out too much on this occasion. They end up hitting A. Okay, whatever. This is where our double controllers are, which is sort of like emulating a Sentinel, right? Both these controllers are super good defensively, and you can see they completely shut out the A site, right? So once again, the Viper Wall can still be committed to B while it's not being too worried about A main because the Astra's there. That smoke goes up at a really nice time, stalls long enough for pretty much the whole team to get into a good enough position. Then the execute happens, and due to just smoke positioning and general positioning, Astra's able to isolate this one kill, which is really, really nice because everyone is still way further back. And then Astra plays around to smoke really, really nicely here. So once again, really nice stall from Viper, as Viper always does. And then this smoke is just so unexpected. It's once again keeping the map nice and tight. Just pops out of this with a really, really nice timing. Unfortunately, loses that aim duel, but it's still keeping the goal, right? Like no kill happened there, you know, longer than maybe one of the ones that peeked out between pyramids or whatever. Like the map was just kept really, really nice and tight. I forget if they go on. No, I think they go on to lose this round anyway, just due to some really, really nice plays on the post plant by RNG, which I won't go into detail because it's got nothing to do with this video's topic. But yeah, those are just two examples in one round of how both Astra and Raze are heavily disrupting the default comp of RNG by just keeping the contest really, really tight, having some really fast plays that nobody expects, having some smoke plays that nobody expects, and it's just, yeah, it's causing real problems for RNG in this match. This round is also really nice in terms of doing exactly what I say, of just controlling this main space, just reducing the whole CT hold of A just down to this. So this area is really, really hard to control if you don't have a sort of close quarters sort of agent, such as what FPX have. Like the best you have against this is, you know, a KO pop flash, maybe a molly in a really nice spot, but obviously you don't have lineups because you don't expect this sort of stuff. Maybe a sofa dart, but that gets chopped pretty quickly. You know, it's really, really hard to contest when you're versing these two close quarters specialists on a map like Breeze because you just don't expect it. So they both start A here. They're giving up mid and they're locking down with B and A sites because you can see they're sort of ready for a mid split. But the goal here is to control A main, right? And there's a really, really nice flash from KO here. Lets them both double peek this. Unfortunately, no one's there at the time. It's just the Cypher sort of lurking there. But they get full control of this area, right? If there was someone there, you can assume that'd probably be like a Raze nade or even a stun from Astra, just to create really, really favorable duels for them. There's even a smoke already there for to cover up and run away. And they just control this space really, really nicely, but then leave sort of a bit worried about mid. Astra ends up lurking back into it, and Raze sort of motions over to mid. I think just ready on a bit of an off angle, and then is able to disengage if need be, which is sort of what happens here. Gets into an off angle, which I think awards him with a kill if I remember correctly. It does. This is really nice disruption. Gets traded pretty quickly, but once again, I think the map is still just kept really tight here. Like instead of it being this sort of angle, it's now this sort of angle. You don't see the abilities really come into play, so it's not a huge part, but it sort of just shows, you know, the general game plan of FPX with this comp. I don't think a whole lot else really happens here, except for just a pretty nice retake by the remaining pretty default agents, so I mean, we don't care. Alright, so I skipped ahead a few rounds because not much happens, sort of just rinse and repeat of the same stuff. Over to at this point in the round where they've popped B. This is really the freedom that you get by having a secondary controller that can watch the other side of the map. You can fully commit your entire Viper's kit to making the map as small as possible. As I've said a trillion times, is the goal of FPX. This molly really well timed, isolates swell, so he's just on an island and is an easy pick. And now, like, for probably the 8th round in a row, they're just stuck in a chokehold and just have nowhere to go. So they end up kind of just running out into very unfavorable duels, don't really have the util to do anything about it, and thus have to leave straight into a flank. So yeah, this round's less about the Raze and more about just the freedom that the Viper has with a secondary controller, and why I think so many teams are now starting to run 2 controllers on this map. You're starting to see a couple of Omens every now and then. Harbor, of course, is a very big pick on the map, and now you're seeing Astra, which is another excellent defensive controller, and plays into this really nicely. So yeah, just another all-round really good defensive setup by FPX, and RNG just do not have an answer. Okay, so RNG have been obviously getting absolutely flogged by the 2 controllers on separate sides of the map. The batshit crazy aggression from the Raze that has just never been seen before on this map. So they did actually get around, and it almost looked like they figured it out. But here, now FPX is switching things up, and they have a op with the Raze. And I'm fairly certain this wouldn't be the case, and it hadn't been the case before, but is only being bought now because of the showstopper. The showstopper in this situation, sorry, let me get rid of that, is essentially like, it's similar to the jet knives in a way, except it's a bit more specialized for, once again, the close quarters sort of combat that FPX are trying to create. So now you sort of have 2 guns here. You essentially have, you could think of this as having how people normally buy an operator with a shorty. You can consider the showstopper like a shorty on crack cocaine, in that it can be really good in sticky situations, in close combat, and all that sort of stuff. And you can see that if you use blast packs really well, it can emulate a jet dash. So that's something, if you have a really good Raze player, this is something you can 100% emulate. So they go for a very aggressive peak here. Probably the first time in a while that, other than the blast back up to this point, or wherever it is, to that point, this is probably the first actual long-range duel that Autumn has taken. So he gets a free kill here, and again, mostly just due to Autumn being fantastic on Raze, is able to use a blast pack as quickly as a jet would use a dash. Gets out of there scot-free. And yeah, so you can basically, if you're good enough on Raze, you can basically just do jet things on Raze, right? So then the rest of the round becomes really awkward for RNG. They sort of just, they don't have much map control. They're worried about an op. They really only have bottom mid as map control, if you even want to consider that map control. So Autumn then just assumes a different position, switches it up. They stagnate for a while here, and then eventually group up to hit A. Once again, walking into an Astro that has 2 stars set up. They've lost their duelist for like the 100th round in a row. And I mean, this is a lost round. Like you see this, you see the 2 stars here, you see the 3 stack here, and you see the lack of jet from the attackers. and it's a lost round, right? You can kind of just assume that. That smoke goes up. Once again, we have a flash that goes into here, and this is once again more disruption to the Sova KO type play style of needing ages. You're standing there ages with your bow and arrow out, and KO's got his lineup. He's looking through his strat book trying to find the knife lineup, and then you just flash through a smoke and just kill them. Very nice shot by their Viper, so that he only got one. But that just shows how well a Raze and an Astra disrupt the default comp. And now the number disadvantage is looking even worse. They have to just take really awkward aim duels, really unfavorable aim duels. Also just ridiculous kills by A that have happened throughout this entire game, and it's just a complete defensive shutout. So yeah, it's so hard for RNG to make anything work because almost their entire strat book is just out the window because they have no idea what to expect from FPX. So here's an actual example of that operator and showstopper synergy for the Raze op here, as I talked about in the last round that didn't actually happen. So they go towards another B hit. It really does feel like RNG has beaten their head against the wall, but anyway, that's beside the point. So here we see they pop into this site really, really quick. Autumn just has no way to get a clear op shot off. You can see he's on this sort of angle, so he could be peeked from here or from even out the other side of the smoke. He has no real way to use the operator on this occasion, and this is where a Jet would have a bit of trouble, right? Like a Jet, even if you have your Bladestorm online, you pop that and you're not really sure where to aim. Where here, since you have the press X to get a free kill ultimate, you pop that and you just shoot it straight down into this little hellhole that Swell's now stuck in due to the Sovereign as well. And then, actually, he picks up the Raze, but yeah, that's sort of like the way that the showstopper can be used as a bit of a bail card for a operator using Raze, and then you can switch the operator and he picks off Jet here. Now that the fights have been a little bit more isolated and he's able to reposition a lot better, yeah, he has the freedom to do that. So again, that's another thing that no other duelist in the game can do. Raze is just so incredibly broken in general, and it really feels like FPX have just unlocked a way to bring this incredibly good agent onto a map where she shouldn't be good. RNG actually go on to win this round off the back of a really, really nice Sheriff shot and then a bit of a disarray from FPX to hold out the A site. But anywho, the scoreline still ends 9-3 in FPX's favor. Yeah, it was just really, really well done. These two very niche agents for the map were just utilized so effectively, and RNG just didn't have an answer. They couldn't use any of the stuff they've prepped because they're worried about a flash and a peak from the Astra, or Raze just blast packing across half the map and getting blasted in the face with a showstopper. All that sort of stuff is just completely disrupted. And all these like close quarter combat situations, because the Viper's now got these sorts of setups which play into a you have the orb here, you have the wall here, and you have all of these really tight angles like in this sort of area that a Raze can nade. And then of course on the other side where you have the Astra, who's also doing a similar thing, is able to pop smokes here and here, create so much pressure for like a KO flash to come through, and just pop out of any of these smokes and just isolate the Jet or completely disrupt whatever the Sova and the KO are trying to set up. So yeah, it's just an incredible way to play defense that we've never seen before on Breeze. And yeah, it's really, really interesting to look into. So if you guys enjoyed or at least found something from this video entertaining or insightful, I know it was a little bit short, but hopefully I'll try to do something a little bit longer next time. I'm still, trying out YouTube, as you could probably tell. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one.